Bring us the perspective of that, my colleague Abiagena had a conversation with the Secretary General of the Central Organization of Trade Unions, Francis Atwoli, and this was how that conversation went. Take a look.
Well, we have an exclusive interview with the COTU Secretary General, that is Francis Atwoli, just on the back of the ongoing strikes, and we'll be seeking to find out what does this mean for the Kenyan economy. Many thanks, Mr. Francis Atwoli, for speaking to us. My question is, we have a major strike in the country, that is the doctors' strike, going into now the fourth day. No solution appears to be in sight. Perhaps what is the impact of these strikes to the economy coming through from a personal perspective of the workers?
When you append your signature on a collective bargaining agreement, in itself it becomes a law. You cannot renege and say we want to renegotiate.
Yeah.
This is what caused the problem. But this advice, the valid advice, can only come from the Ministry of Labour. And that is why we have what we call tripartism arrangement with social partners. And social partners are workers, represented by the Central Organization of Trade Unions, employers represented by Federation of Kenya Employers, and government represented by the parent Ministry for Industrial Relations, Business, which is Ministry of Labour and Social Services. But when you ignore these three pillars of industrial stability, then you go where the government is now. So it is ignorance on the part of the employer. Okay. Two, the doctors issued a not strike notice, 7 days. Once you issue a strike notice, the employer is supposed to immediately respond and engage you. He's not supposed to run to industrial court or to the labor relations court to seek for an injunction to stop you from going on strike. In any case, strike is a national constitutional issue for any worker. And if you read the constitution in Article 41, National Constitution of Kenya, of which you promulgated 2010, there are only 4 words. A worker has a right to go on strike, period.
Looking at the industrial strikes that have befallen the country, perhaps what is the solution towards and actually seeing a country where we can have fewer strikes but more productivity? At
the back of any employer is to exploit for the purposes of maximization of any profit. But I want to comment government, because what government has done has opened doors for negotiations. Like yesterday, we were consulting with doctors union, with their top officials. I left my office past midnight, trying to see whether we can get a solution out of that or not. That is one. They have opened their doors for negotiations. And also, once they have opened their doors for negotiations, this is where we as trade unionists now, we need to engage government in serious dialogue and get something out of them. The problem is that with a lot of spillage in the government spending, nobody believes the government now. Even if they did put something down, like, for example, say 70,000 or 8 or 100,000 Kenya shillings, doctors can't believe them. They would say another day, the Ministry of Health itself, it did lose money in terms of billions. So why are we being denied this? This is the problem of corruption. Where there is a lot of corruption, people don't believe in a system. People think, even if somebody slept hungry because he didn't go and work for food, he would always blame the government, because a lot of people are carrying money away. Look what happened at NYS. When you hear people can go with sacks and bags of all different types of sizes to Family Bank, and they walk away with millions and millions and billions and billions, including drivers and what have you, saloon operators and so on. Nobody can believe in the system. So this is where the problem is. But if the government can seriously engage the doctors, the way the Cabinet Secretary for Health is trying to do, if it's beefed up with the experts from the Ministry of Labour, and then they convince these young men who are leading doctors' union that this is what we have on the table, they had entered into a collective bargaining agreement freely, say let us implement part of this. Let this CBA be the basis of our negotiations. They will reach amicable They will make a headway and reach an amicable agreement for the same. So as you are rightly putting it, nobody believes that government doesn't have money. And, we have borrowed domestically and internationally, over-borrowed. But people cannot believe because the government wants to appear that it is in life, it is implementing its projects and so on. So it must borrow Peter, pay John. This is what the government is doing. Yeah, and it will be very difficult. And the proper government that is worth its salt, it must put some mechanism in place to spur economic growth because this money must come out of something. We must support industrialization. We must support that an area of export of our finished goods. And we must also discourage others dumping finished goods in this country. And also we must put security in place so that we can be in a position to attract the investors, both direct and indirect. This is where we can tap our money. Kenya is a satellite of economic activities in the region, but our management is very poor. This is where we have a problem. You see why workers cannot believe government. You find at one weekend, the deputy president is spending almost to about 50 million, 18 million, 20 million, just dishing out like that. And then when you come back at home, you are told, we don't have money. Nobody can believe you. Because where are you getting this money that is being spent here and left and right?
How do we come to a middle ground and ensure there's pay for performance? At the same time, there's also a reflection about how the economy is doing in terms of inflation, in terms of interest rates. How do we come to that consensus as a country?
Now, what the employers are doing, they have taken us for granted. Because of our hard work, they say they can exploit us. And sometimes they also teach government, they tell government, the cost of doing business in Kenya is very expensive, labor is expensive, we will reallocate. Tell them to reallocate, because they are paying Kenyans peanuts.